Hey guys, what's up? I got the Shonen Jump app, and on top of making use of Crunchyroll these recent months, I've been going through one heck of an anime and manga phase. It's been a long time coming, but I'm finally accepting this part of myself. It helps that there was a lot of stuff I was really into the past anime season. I was following season 3 of Mob Psycho 100, and the new episodes of Spy X Family, began watching Chainsaw Man until I switched to the manga and caught up with everything there. That one was pretty awesome. I discovered Boshi the Rock and became obsessed with it in a perfectly normal way. Oh, and I watched The Witcher Mercury, which was pretty dope as well. Let's see, what else? Oh, I've been slowly watching through Haikyuu, and I read Fujimoto's other works besides Chainsaw Man. I could definitely make videos talking about a number of the anime and manga that I brought up, but there was one manga that I finished and I have become very not normal about, and have been obsessing over a lot. If you're gonna guess what series that was based on the title, then I must be doing something wrong. Kaguya-Sama Love is War is a show that I caught up on during the past summer, and I thought it was pretty great. A really fun time with a top tier cast of characters, though it was mainly by season 3 where I started to become really in love with the show as things developed, and then the status quo changed with the final episode, and it had me really excited to see where things would go. Although, side note, rewatching the previous seasons after finishing it all has made me appreciate them more, and I love them all now as a result. Because of my manga craze, I decided to continue Kaguya through the manga, and I finished the whole thing in a little over 2 days. Why did I do this? Because I love reading it so much! I finished it so fast and I'm so heartbroken it's gone already. Why did I eat my food so fast? I should have savored it! So that's why we are here today. I need a place to vent my obsession, and I figured my YouTube would be the best place to do it. If this wasn't the video you were expecting, I apologize, but I will not hold back. I might make a video about the new House episode at least. With all that said, time to talk about Love is War. And this will contain spoilers for the manga, so if you aren't, reading it, you're an anime only person, I'm sorry to say, but this video is not for you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Okay, bye. To start things off, one of my favorite things about the finale of the 3rd season was how it recontextualized this game of love Kaguya and Miyuki were playing. At first, it just seemed like a game of pride, which worked fine, as it's what would create all the ridiculous and hilarious skits. But by the end of the school festival, it's clear their motivations run deeper than that. Miyuki wants her to confess because he wants to be seen as an equal to Kaguya. He sees himself beneath her due to her perceiving as a shinomiya. If she confessed, then they'd be on an equal footing. Meanwhile, Kaguya wants him to confess because she is actually really scared of revealing how she feels. She's scared of getting rejected and ruining her relationship with Miyuki. It says a lot about how much she looks down on herself, when even the idea of Miyuki liking her feels like a delusion, even after all this time. It's pretty phenomenal writing for both characters that got me invested in their relationship from then on. Them becoming a couple and seeing how they actually operate when together escalated things so much for me. The original War of Love was fun and all, but now we're getting such a deeper insight into these two as people, as their walls truly come down. And man, I can't remember the last time I was this head over heels for a fictional couple. Well, there's another one in the same series, but we'll get to that later, don't worry. I love how Miyuki will eventually be transferring to Stanford, so for all these moments together, there's this feeling they have to make the most of their time until Miyuki inevitably leaves for the US. It creates a unique tension that's felt greatly in certain scenes. There's a chapter where the two end up having sex, and it manages to be both mature and hilarious at the same time, which is kind of incredible. There's a great punchline, but before that is this legitimately heartfelt conversation between the two. I'm about to sidetrack right now, but if you ask me, the saddest part of Love is War was Miyuki's mom leaving him. I wish a number of these moments weren't tied to comedy completely, because it's truly sad learning how her leaving was the start of his drive to push himself like crazy academically, because he believes that's the reason she didn't choose him. It's followed up in one of the last chapters starring Kei, and it's really heartbreaking seeing how his mom is. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. I think I've said all I want to about these two as a couple. They're a fantastic pairing the series completely nailed. So now let's get into the two that really stole my heart. Hands down, my favorite character in Love is War is Ishigami. It's no contest in my mind. This man is the GOAT and I will not hear otherwise. Even when originally watching the anime, this character quickly grew on me, and I was rooting for him so hard throughout. While this extends to the rest of the cast, I love how he has all these qualities that make him a flawed but very relatable person. He loves to kill his time playing video games instead of studying, he'll overspeak his mind to an obnoxious degree if you give him the chance, he'll make over-the-top arguments for stuff that really doesn't matter, he can be extremely blunt. He's the closest thing to a straight man, but that doesn't mean he has his own ridiculous behaviors and overly dramatic elements. Gags and jokes involving Ishigami would get some of the biggest laughs out of me. He's a loser, you know, but I've realized that I love characters that are losers. No offense, it's a me thing. I'm weird. He also has his own set of morals that you get to learn more about as the series goes on, along with his low self-esteem that he develops due to his past. I said season 3 was when I got more interested, but it's more accurate to say that it started once the story began to focus on Ishigami's growth by joining the cheer team. His backstory is so messed up, and I can't help but feel sympathy for the guy after knowing what he's been through. It's the kind of backstory that completely changes how you view a character for the better. I was super happy with this arc he went through, and it was only gonna get better from there. This man finally tries to shoot his own shot at love at the school festival with his crush on Tsubame. I had a feeling that this wasn't going to actually be a thing, but I was still rooting for my man to succeed, even with how oblivious he was at points. And then the scene with Ino happens where he casually gives her the heart keychain, and then from there, everything changed. It's amazing how quickly I grew to love Ino as a character. It says a lot that out of everyone in the student council, it's the easiest for her mind to spiral to wild places when misinterpreting information. She's got a strong sense of justice, but the kind that ends up making the world look too black and white in her eyes. As a member of the disciplinary committee, she's all about those rules and school etiquette, which she soon starts to realize does not exactly work with the chaotic energy of the student council. She still gets along with them fine enough. You know, except Ishigami. These two have this fascinating tug and pull, where they deep down care about each other and look out for one another, but they absolutely cannot stand being in the same room together without fighting. They're both each other's foils, and it's always so entertaining to watch unfold. But once the idea of them becoming a thing becomes planted, my brain quickly realizes how much I love this ship. On the surface, they're such different characters, but they're similar in all the ways that truly matter that it's taken my mind hostage. Every time I binged through chapters, my attention was always, well, mostly, on seeing where these two characters would go. Miyuki and Kaguya are already a thing by this point in the story, so in terms of romance, I ended up wanting Ino to succeed the most. But that doesn't mean I wasn't sad seeing that Ishigami and Tsubame's relationship didn't turn out how he wanted. I think the messy road these two went on was well done, all things considered. I'm glad Tsubame ended up being as fleshed out as she was. She wasn't just a temporary love interest for Ishigami. She was realistically confused about what she should do about whether or not to reject Ishigami's confession. You get where she's coming from, and by the end, she does something truly heartfelt for him that showed how much she cared. It's still heartbreaking to see Ishigami finally accept that yeah, they're never gonna be a couple, but that's alright. He was able to let it out and can finally move on, although he still does not really see Ino as any sort of love interest at this point in the story, which leads to this really nice page where only Miyuki and Ino are in the room. The panels allow things to breathe and have all of Ino's emotions truly sink in. It's amazing how Love is War is both really funny, but also able to give really emotional and tender moments between characters that stuck with me the most. I would be here forever if I showed off every page that I found to be emotionally resonant, but there were a lot of them, and that ended up being my reason to keep going the most. I also said that Ishigami and Ino's relationship was my main reason to keep going, like, there were a lot of things that invested me, okay? The relationship of these two does end up moving forward more. It's not an immediate, oh suddenly Ishigami also develops feelings for Ino. No, the two begin to talk more to each other genuinely and become more sincere friends. There's still the bickering here and there, but the two have become more open to each other, and Ino's making a genuine effort to connect more with Ishigami. She even becomes a gamer, and is taught by Miyuki's father, who by the way is one of the best characters, and the chapter where he became a YouTuber was the funniest thing ever. I loved the chapter focusing on when the two originally met. Even back then when Ino would confiscate Ishigami's games, the two still clearly had a mutual understanding of each other. It's so charming how Ishigami's letter would normally be seen as a creepy thing to do, which falls in line with all his other romantic ideas, but Ino absolutely loved it, and it became a great motivator for her. Listen man, even back then, there was clearly something here. I mean, they knew what they were cooking, come on. This pairing definitely doesn't develop as ridiculously as Miyuki and Kaguya, but I appreciate how it's more grounded to contrast that pairing. It's certainly a slower burn, but I was invested in it the whole time. Even when the big finale stuff was beginning with Kaguya's family, my eyes were still on these two fools. And it was literally about to happen right here in this chapter until that damn phone call interrupted everything and destroyed all my hopes and dreams. The amount of times I yelled fuck was unquantifiable. And then it ends right where the other ship began, with them being the heads of the student council and beginning the war that is love all over again. This ending for the two is both frustrating but also really funny. Like at this point they're basically a couple in my eyes, you can't stop me from thinking that. It's just a matter of time before it happens, but god damn it, I read all these chapters just for them to not properly get together, but it's also a fun way to wrap things up. Still the best ship though, I take no criticism. Okay, now for the part of the video where I talk about tier lists. Now I used to make videos dedicated to this kind of thing, but I figured it would be easier to better discuss that here because I could bring up points that didn't fit into the previous section. To kick things off, here is my character tier list. It's not every single character in this series, but it's got enough that are notable. I don't have much to say for my C tier characters in all honesty. I remember who they are, but I don't have any strong feelings towards them. That one boyfriend character is there because he is the least remarkable compared to his girlfriend and Maki. I hope you're all okay with that. As for B tier, these are all the characters that I found to be pretty entertaining, or I had a decent amount of interest in. I would classify all of these as good characters. This also includes the cat because, well, I really like cats. A tier is when we really start getting to the awesome stuff. It may be a bit weird for me to only put Chica in A, but that's only because I'm not as attached to her as I am with some of the others. She's a very funny character that could be a force of nature. Thumbs up if you ask me. Even though Hayasuka's mom doesn't have very much screen time, I really enjoyed her presence, although this may be due to how much I like Hayasuka herself, so there may be some influence in this judgment. K is actually a very high A for me. I don't know what it is about K, but I love her relationship with Miyuki. They're a good older brother and little sister dynamic, and her reactions towards Miyuki and Kaguya's relationship were all great. The chapter where she realized Kaguya's been to their new place already was hilarious. I love all three of the Shiroganes. They're a fun family that I love seeing interact. And yes, only 3. You don't count. This of course applies to Papa Shirogane as well, who is an S tier because this man is one of the funniest characters in the whole series. I did not expect this man to be as amusing as he was, but every time he appeared, he ended up stealing the show. He's both a very weird dude, but also a very wise one, and ends up giving pretty good advice at certain points. It's so funny how he'll mess with both Kaguya and his own son on numerous occasions. He's just the best man, easy S. Maki surprised me with how much I ended up loving her character, but she is also the epitome of suffering. Her gag of constantly being jealous of her crush and best friend being together should not be as funny as it is, but goddamn is it amusing seeing her in such pain. She had a really fun relationship with the 2 student council boys, and she had pretty fun interactions with them throughout the series. You know, she's still got a character of her own outside of her endless suffering. She's got a certain charisma when she wants to that I found just really charming. Goated character. I wish she finds her own happiness eventually. For the rest of these characters, I've already said more than enough about them, except for Hayasuka. I'm surprised how she ended up being in my top 3 characters, but as time went on, I really liked what kind of character she was. The rapping episode was awesome, but what truly made it great was getting Hayasuka to open up about herself and how she feels chained down by her responsibility as Kaguya's maid. That whole school trip arc where she finally resigned as Kaguya's maid and got to simply be another student along with a close friend of Kaguya was really satisfying. It's so fun seeing her hang with others on her own terms and outside of Kaguya's shadow. Very epic character. She's also pretty funny. And that's basically all that I wanted to discuss with this tier list. We just got one more left to discuss. The ship tier list. I have never made a ship tier list in my life until now, but here we are. Can you tell I got obsessed with Love is War? Starting with D, we got a bunch of ships that I don't get, / care about, or disagree with. An example of which for me is Kaguya and Hayasuka, because I prefer to see them as siblings. There were some threesome picks as well in this ship tier list, and 2 that I put at the bottom were Ishigami, Chika, and Kaguya because, well, what even is this? What is this pairing? I mean, threeing? I'm so dumb. I also put Ishigami, Ino, and Suwame as a trio at the bottom because that really makes no sense in all honesty. There is nothing between Ino and Suwame. This just means Ishigami isn't making a choice, and my man's gotta. There's also this is a sad but funny tier, because I don't think I particularly care much for these ships, but they are very funny within the context of the series. Like goddamn that final punchline for Maki. I am so sorry, Maki. Moving on to C tier, we got some that I probably don't agree with, but I bet some people can make cases for. Stuff like Miyuki and Chika, Kaguya and Ino, Ishigami and Kaguya. Ishigami and Hayasaka, which is such an oddball pairing. If anyone has any sort of case for this one, put it in the comments, I am legit curious. Miyuki, Kaguya, and Chika as a ship is so funny to me because I just imagine it as Kaguya and Miyuki going, "Fine, get in here." I feel it would fall apart quickly, however. B tier is what I like to call the has potential tier. These are ships that I think could have had something going for them, but I don't know if they would last. Listen, with how Nagisa talks to Maki, you'd think they'd be a couple, and that's why I think that they would actually be a good pairing. When you take away the funny scenario, the two do seem like good friends, so I'm down with it. These two Ishigami ships may just be my bias for the character, but hold on, let me cook. Rei would be interesting just for how her perception of Ishigami changed as she saw the real him, and a dynamic could be there considering the two's personalities. Maybe I shouldn't have put Ishigami and Chika so high, but these two had a pretty good back and forth before Ino came and stole the spotlight for relations with Ishigami. It's a fun one that actually wouldn't last the more I think about it now. Never mind, this will probably be S tier. Now all the really good stuff. Kaguya and Chika are pretty easy ships to have considering how close the two are. It'd definitely be more funny than sweet, but it'd overall be a pretty entertaining ship to watch unfold. Chika is probably the best chance of romance that Hayasaka has by the end of Love is War, and I just want her to be happy, man. The seeds of it are planted a couple of times, and I think that it's the closest thing we have to a gay ship in the series, unless I'm forgetting any other canonical gay ships that are also relevant. This is what I classify as a pretty cute ship. Maki and Ishigami is actually a ship I really like a lot. It'd be pretty interesting to watch unfold with how they can actually confide in each other pretty well due to a mutual experience in heartbreak. Ishigami does care about Maki, and Maki sees him as a reliable friend, so it's something I'd be down for seeing. The main reason Maki and Miyuki were a lower tier is because I think about it and all I see is a weaker Miyuki and Kaguya. I'm sorry. I keep apologizing, I should really stop that. S plus tier. All the ships I really love and can nerd out about. Starting off with Miyuki and Hayasaka. I really love the relationship these two have throughout the series. I think they're already perfect as just friends, but at the same time, this is a ship tier list and it's not hard for my mind to want to just push it a bit forward. Miyuki was the one that caused Hayasaka to open up in the first place, and he played a big part in her development. I just really enjoy seeing these two on screen together, and you can tell Hayasaka did have a thing for him, but man, that was the ultimate case of, I'm so sorry, but you really didn't have a chance simply because of the premise of this show. Really like this ship. Can only happen in a universe where Kaguya didn't exist. Ishigami and Miyuki, my two favorite boys, so shipping them really isn't that hard for me. This is the most bros being bros ship in this entire tier list, but honestly, I'd be down for it. They both have a great amount of respect for each other, and I love how Ishigami ends up rambling the most to Miyuki compared to every other character. They got a unique friendship, and yeah, I just think it's fire as hell, come on, hear my vision. I've already said enough about how much I love the last two ships on this list, but I have no problem repeating that I love these two ships a lot, and y'all already know which one reigns supreme. Oh my god, I really just spent a whole section of a video talking about shipping. A part of me is very embarrassed about that, but I also had too much fun doing this to care. That really shows how much I truly enjoyed Love is War. It's such an amazing blend of comedy, romance, and character writing that I love going back to and reading chapters of. I didn't expect myself to love a rom-com so much, but that's just how great this series is. If y'all also love Love is War as much as I do, feel free to share your favorite parts of the manga and anime in the comments. It'll probably remain stuck in my brain even well after this video is done. Welp, that seems like a good place to call it. If you enjoyed your time with this video, subscribing and junk like that will be appreciated. I'm sorry if it's been so long since the last video, but it ended up being a pretty good break for me. I'm excited to get back into making videos again. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and have a good day.